Hello miners, Wildlife Control here. Or if you want to be a funny dwarf, you can just refer to me as Pest Control. You're probably wondering why the bloody hell that head of R&D tech monkey has been droving on about upgraded equipment. Well, it's kinda important. Ever since that bloody thing got over 380,000 employees killed, what thing you ask? Don't worry about it. It's not our problem anymore. I get that you've been in a coma for some 30 or something years at this point, but just let me keep talking, yeah? Alright then, since those 30 years, that bastard planet Hoxxes has had time to brew up some new damn trouble. So, buckle up and grab a smart stout, you're gonna need it. First of all, overall evolution has meant that there's now increased diversity of threats. Because of this, we have now added a few more hazard levels to better suit the new environment. Previously, it was hazard 1 through 5. Well, nah, it's gone further than that. Hazard 6 is the first new hazard, and pretty much one-ups hazard 5 on everything. Hazard 7 is the next new hazard, changing things up quite a bit. Enemies will appear more often, but they're effectively now just glass cannons, lethal but fragile. Controlling ground and the flow of battle will be important to survive this hazard level. One mistake and it snowballs into hell. Hazard 8 is the most extreme conventional hazard level, really putting even our greatest of veterans to the test. We believe it was this hazard level that Carl first discovered and disappeared to. Come armed for war, because these damned caves will give you one. Oh, and management is forcing me to talk about Hazard X. Hazard X is for the absolutely suicidal, insane, and extreme dwarves under our employment. We heavily discourage anyone from partaking in this hazard, lest they meet their bloody doom. You will find new enemies here that are almost impossible to find outside of this hazard, and the overall threat level is off the charts. Do not even dare consider missions of this high caliber. You're not worthy. Right, so that covers all the new hazard levels available to you hole digging shites. Nah, to the bugs. So, what about the bugs themselves, eh? Well, creatures we once called cannon fodder have further expanded into that role. They're more numerous, but are easier to kill. Creatures we once called medium enemies have gotten slightly stronger. Praetorians deal much more hurt and are slightly meatier, although their heads are now weak points, which makes killing them easier. Just keep your damn distance from them, we're not joking about them hurting more. The Mark Terror is an amusing case. They're overall easier to kill, but the Trijaw and Brundle have evolved new tricks. Trijaws can now dash at insane speeds, easily dodging projectiles and reposition immediately for faster follow-up attacks. Brundles have stronger abdominal armor and have a new projectile that travels very fast and can deal toxic damage over time. Be wary when messing with these flying buggers, they're damned nasty in groups. Glyphid slashers and guards are also less durable than they once were. However, they can still take quite a beating, and the huge numbers can cause some serious problems. When you're in a fight with lots of different types of enemies, it's important to put priority onto the most dangerous of the group. Sometimes a faster threat can be left alive if a more lethal threat is on the field, as that will require immediate extermination. Nah. There's also a new enemy classification, the Heavy Hitters. Heavy Hitters are incredibly large, tanky, and threatening aliens. They can quickly change the course of a fight by just merely existing. Plus, they're the ones you have to kill as quickly as you can. The first one on this list is the Glyphid Oppressor. The Glyphid Oppressor is a huge bulking shell of armor and muscle, using this great resilience and size to disrupt combat. This leaf-shaped bastard is a huge problem most of the time. Its Ragequake attack can destroy an entire team in just a matter of moments. Stay far away from it. For most weapons, you will only be able to injure it from behind, requiring some baiting and maneuvering. The oppressor will use a seismic slam attack to try and throw you off it. Avoid that if you can, lest you get flung across the cave. Waiting for the oppressor to use Ragequake will leave it vulnerable to attack, allowing you to kill it rather quickly. The next one is the Glyphid Swarm Tyrant, an armoured shell on legs. This thing is an all-out killing machine, using its super powerful front legs and jaws to deal truly lethal amounts of damage. Try your best to keep away from its face. The creature has no weak points, save for weaker armour on its behind. Shoot it there by all means necessary. When the Swarm Tyrant dies, it will unleash a huge burst of psychic energy. Any Glyphid smaller than a Praetorian caught in the radius will become buffed, making them more durable, deadlier, and harder to stop. Kill those things as soon as you see them. Next up is the Macterra Tyranonaut. This jumbo jet-sized Macterra is some serious hulking business. Its entire body is completely armoured up, with only the head being a true weak point. The first attack is a spit of 3 barbed explosives. They can deal huge impact damage and just as much damage in a blast radius. They spread out in a rather predictable pattern, making avoiding them relatively easy. What isn't easy to avoid is their signature attack, Rain of Pain, an attack coming from the indestructible sacks on its sides. This flying giant rains down explosives to saturate a fixed area in its flight path. Anything hit directly by the explosives take colossal damage. Stay very far away from this thing when it's doing this. When killed, it will use Rain of Pain while dying, killing anything under it. The next horrible nasty is the Corona Demolisher. This big, ugly rolling bug has learnt some serious projectile magic. This creature converts any and all friction into heat energy, which it can then expel as fireballs. Because of this, there is no safe engagement time for this thing. It is always armed and deadly. However, it prefers to rear its ugly head up before firing off volleys of burning death. When it does unfurl, kill that bastard as fast as possible. The faster it dies, the more terrain you'll have left to walk on. And finally, the crime from our rival company, the Cyber Oppressor. This oppressor-shaped tin can is all kinds of ugly. Its weak spot is protected by an armoured shell, which will require breaking off before you can deal damage to the creature. Once the Cyber Oppressor loses half of its health, the armour will regenerate, and you'll have to break it again. The machine also comes equipped with new attacks, but the Oppressor has no access to. Keep on your toes when this thing's around, it can cause some hurt. So that covers it for the heavy hitter bugs. Nah, we can move on to the other amusing stuff. Right, biomes. So, the glacial strata and radioactive exclusion zone have their own form of glyphids and whatnot. Nah, the magma core has its own. The glyphid grunts have evolved to better survive the hellish nature that is the magma core. Because of this, they're more resilient to fire, making flamethrowers and incendiary grenades rather ineffective. However, they are now weaker to cold damage, making anything that can freeze do more damage and freeze them faster. As well as that, the Praetorians have also weaponized the heat of the biome. Fire Praetorians replaced their fart gas with what you can essentially call bloody flamethrower fuel. That's right, they're flamethrowers on damn legs. Killing them will release their flammable liquids as a form of gas, burning anyone in contact with the gas. Just like the glacial strata, the goo bomber has become a magma bomber. Magma bombers will carpet bomb an area with phosphorus compounds, turning the very air we breathe into burning hell. Alongside that, they can spit out 3 magma blobs of burning explosives that can deal some nasty injuries. Unlike the other bombers, the magma bomber is one that will definitely kill you if you leave it alive. Finally, in the radiation zone, those wretched irradiated exploders have lived long enough to create atomic detonators. Glyphid atomic detonators, or irradiated monstrosities, to levels we can't read with Geiger counters. While these sacks of overcharged tumours are very scary looking, their primary attack has been heavily neutered from the radiation exposure. When they die, they create a massive ball of radioactive energy. Anything that gets close will be rapidly disintegrated, including the largest of enemies. Steer very clear from this thing, despite how pretty it may look. And of course, there are more than a dozen brand new bugs you may run into in the wild. Because this wouldn't be an ever-evolving conflict if the bugs didn't do some evolution of their own, now would it? As you can see, these new beasties come in all different shapes and sizes. The frequency you'll come across these new creatures will vary significantly on their size and overall threat level. Take a good look at them before we move on to the next bit of this bloody presentation. Right, now pay attention, this part's important. New enemy swarms have started springing up on Morkite expeditions, refineries, and egg hunts. Yes, I bloody said egg hunts, more on that later. The first new type of swarm is what we have deemed the Ironclad Swarm. Nasties of all shapes and sizes will appear here, no limits. Because of this, these can either be the easiest or hardest swarms there are. Be very careful with them, however. On average, they're very tough stuff, even for our veteran miners out there. The next enemy swarm ain't a swarm. It's that bastard Nemesis! Nemesis is back on the hunt again, seeking destruction of our mining operation. This super-sized vile monstrosity has evolved to a whole new level of dwarf killing power. If it pops up, you best kill that thing before it can kill you. If you're in the magma core, you're in for an especially rough ride. Nemesis will not appear here, but instead you'll find the wretched godlike atrocity that is the Lord of Skulls. This titanic bug has grown larger and stronger, having prepared a new battle plan to kick Dwarven arse back to the med bay. This titanic creature must be stopped at all costs. Let nothing hold you back from sending this ancient dinosaur back to prehistory. And finally, the new alien invaders from outer space have somehow manifested a huge creature in golden spike-covered plate armor. This gaudy-looking mega shite is some ugly creature with incredible resilience. Wear it down and make sure none of you get hit by that electric ball. It's a real shocker. Now yes, you did hear me right earlier. Egg hunts now have swarms. So now, if you muck about for too long, you'll have to tussle with even more bugs than normal. Be very cautious, as all the above swarms also appear here in higher frequency. Do the objective, fight as many bugs as necessary, and get out of there. On elimination missions, the Glyphids have upped the security. Now you'll have a Dreadnought Punisher hunting you down as long as you're on the job. While the Punisher isn't as armoured as the other Dreadnoughts, it's a real killer. Definitely focus on killing the dreadnoughts as fast as you can, or else the Punisher might just execute your entire team. Now with that out of the way, on to the next part of this presentation. New warnings and a new anomaly have been registered. The elite threat warning is gone, and in its place is now giant threat. Gigantic beasts from both Glyphid and Macterra factions will start springing up in caves with this warning. These oversized beasts are very resistant to damage and are much harder to stop in their tracks. While they're not all common, they're still a pretty serious nuisance due to their size and strength. Make sure every last one of these bugs die. The next warning is a brand new one entirely. Extreme Threat is a new warning, and a very serious warning too. Larger glyphids will start coming out of the woodworks like grunts, dominating the field with their overwhelming bulk. As well as this, glyphid heavy hitters and detonators will spawn more often, turning an already awful cave into something truly horrible. And as if that's not bad enough, glyphid dreadnoughts will be on the prowl and might spring up at any given time. The only good thing about extreme threat warning missions is they usually have more nitra in them, and even then, it might not be enough to save you from this glyphid apocalypse. The final warning is the warning of all warnings. Titan Incursion. A glyphid of incomprehensible size and power will haunt you through point extraction and refinery missions. This beast can quake an entire cave with its thundering roar alone. This nigh unstoppable wall of armor and damnation will quickly turn any cave into an extinction site. Stay very far away from it, and if you do attempt to kill it, be prepared for a long battle. With the warnings out of the way, we only have one new anomaly to report. Battle Mule Patrol. A huge swarm of Xynox have sabotaged a group of battle mules and brought them into a cave system. Be wary, as you may find one battle mule, or many battle mules, of all different kinds that you might have never seen before. If you can manage to survive and rip the parasites off them, you will have good security detail for the rest of the job. Finally, the bloody presentation is over. I'm a researcher, not a damned teacher. I hope that was informative enough for your rock-smashing brains to understand what you're up against. It's horrible down there. I don't blame you if you want our jobs. But until then, you'll have to earn that position with blood, sweat, tears, rocks and stones. Show those aliens that we own that planet. Wildlife Control, out.